Everyone, I hope you guys are doing great. It is Good Friday and Easter is finally here, and we are all confined in our homes and staying safe. And today I have two wonderful ladies with me. I've got Manmeet Gill with WFG. She's an insurance advisor, insurance and financial advisor, I should say. Welcome, Manmeet,
Thank you
as
for
well. As well as Darshan Gill, and she's in Surrey, and she was previously living here in Victoria, and she's been a previous client of mine, as well as she's worked with WFG. So let's start our discussion today. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us, Des.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad you guys were able to spare some time on this Good Friday. And I know you guys should be all looking for your little Easter eggs, but aren't they cute? They're for my kids.
I really like them. Where did you get those from? I feel like I want to have my own Easter egg hunt.
Well, we're not doing as much as we normally would, but I wanted to do just a little bit because obviously we want to still celebrate. And it is Vaisakhi this weekend as well, and Ramadan as well. So there's a lot of different festivals happening this weekend. So it's a great time for us to all still reflect on life and celebrate the joys. Absolutely. So, but we're just doing it with our close family, and I'm able to open up and talk to all you guys that are watching this today, as well as you beautiful ladies that have joined me today. So welcome. And let's start today. I invited you here today because I really am, and I know there's a lot of people sitting at home and they're just wondering about insurance and also financial questions, but more in regards to life insurance and disability insurance and critical insurance. And I know right now that COVID-19 has hit us, and this is a very challenging time for us and our families. It's very difficult to be just reflecting on, things that nobody thinks it's going to be them. Like I'm like I still think I'm fairly young. I have a young family.
You are young.
Am I really? What's my age? No guess. No guess. No guess. So nobody thinks it's going to be them, right? But you never know, right? So let's go into this a bit. So first of all, tell us a bit about things that are changing with COVID-19 and any update you can give us, Manmeet.
Okay, thank you so much for asking that question. I think that has definitely been on a lot of people's minds. The biggest thing that we've noticed within World Financial Group and a lot of the companies that we work with as well is just the amount of people who are looking for this type of protection has increased dramatically. We had a call with one of our Equitable Life product partners, and they were saying their sales are up like almost 30 to 40% as well. And that's insane. I mean, normally people are still thinking about personal protection and making sure that they have the proper things in place for their families. But I think COVID-19 has just really helped everyone take a step back and think about, okay, if something like this were to happen, how would our family life or how will the lifestyle that we're currently living continue on if we're, let's say, missing an income from a main income earner, if some things were to change. So I think just on the financial side for every family, that's definitely at the forefront of their minds. Am I protected properly? Because even with COVID-19, this is something that we couldn't have really have predicted. I mean, last year, this same time, I was finishing up university. I never would have thought that I would be stuck at home a year later, trying to live my life during this time, especially. So definitely this is something that's very unpredictable. And it's important that we are protected before any of these unforeseen circumstances come into place. Because when these bad things do happen, it's not like they're going to give us, let's say, a phone call or shoot us a text message saying, hey, I'll be there in 5 minutes, right? So it's better to be prepared in advance than to have to bear the consequences when something's at our front door. The biggest change in the insurance industry, though, that I'm seeing is I think already in Europe, what they've done is they've actually stopped a lot of their underwriting processes. So what underwriting basically is determining your eligibility for a certain type of product. And so if that process isn't happening, it means people aren't being insured and those proper protections aren't being put into place. even in Canada right now, a lot of our product providers, they've stopped a lot of paramedical services at the moment. And that can be very scary as well, because for a lot of insurances, you do need to have that paramedical, evidence to support your eligibility. So what our companies have done, companies such as Ivari or Equitable Life and Industrial Alliance, is now they've increased the amount that they will cover you without that paramedical service. So I think that is something amazing that they've done for our families, and that they'll still offers that sort of protection by just kind of changing the guidelines of what exactly is eligible and how they're going to process that type of stuff. And so in the short term, they're definitely going to start adding more questions about COVID-19 and our exposure and, what types of jobs we're involved in. So that's definitely going to play an impact. In fact, I think insurance premiums may even rise a little bit over the next coming months. Maybe a $10 or $15 difference won't make too much of a big difference now, but obviously over the course of, let's say, 15 or 20 years, that's an additional $2,000 to $5,000 that could be put towards something else. So it's very imperative that if that type of personal protection is something that's important to your family, to go talk to an advisor today and even get a quote to see what costs will look like. And it's important to remember that that is the cost of today, and there's a possibility of getting it changed tomorrow. So if you are thinking about it, get at least an application process so we can lock those rates, because once those rates are locked, then of course they will have to honor them. But if you're thinking about it maybe 2 or 3 months down the road and the prices increase, that same protection might go up a little bit.
That's great information. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I personally have so many questions just in regards to this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that having that insurance in place is very important. So if you
Mm-hmm.
don't got the insurance, you're not going to be able to make a claim or have that protection. And having a family, doesn't matter at what age, how young your kids are, so on, right?
Mm-hmm.
You definitely have to make sure that whether you're a young family with just a single spouse, or you have children now, or what time in your lifeline you are at, you want to make sure you have that protection. And
Mm-hmm.
that's where I know me and you've had this conversation in the past too, and today it really hits hard, is that it's unfortunate, and that a lot of, I used to work in the financial industry, like one
Mm-hmm.
of the biggest banks in Canada, and I used to sell these products on the line too, and at that time I didn't know that a lot of the banks, the traditional mortgage protection they're selling, or insurance, unless they've been there's underwriting prior
Mm-hmm.
to, because you're paying the premiums, but some of the insurers do the underwriting after, when you make a
Mm-hmm.
claim.
That's true.
And so how does that work with you guys?
I'm really glad that you brought that up, because a lot of people, they're not aware of that. And that's a really big key point of World Financial Group, is really bringing that education and awareness to the homes of each and every family, and those who have been using those services for a long time, and also to those who financial services may be very brand new as well. And just the part about the underwriting process. So whenever we get any sort of plan with any of the product providers through World Financial Group, the underwriting process is done right at the very beginning. So your eligibility of protection is determined right from the beginning. So in case something, or when something does happen in the future, you're guaranteed to have that protection payout. A lot of times when we talk about mortgage protection from the banks, the underwriting process in that situation is usually done at the time of claim. And at that time, if it's determined that you were actually not eligible, well, unfortunately, that claim might not be able to be paid out. And that's really scary, especially if you're going to be putting money into that type of service. You want to have the peace of mind and security that, your liabilities will be covered. And that's definitely something that I always like to talk to families about. Do you have mortgage insurance? Okay, well, do you know the details about it? If there's something we can do better, maybe we can talk about that as well. But if everything is awesome, if it is working well, then that's okay as well.
Mm-hmm. And this is a video that, are you guys able to see it on the screen right now? I
Yep.
just brought it up, and my apologies, I'm not as tech savvy on this Zoom thing yet. I'm learning as we go.
We're all learning Zoom.
Yeah. So CBC Marketplace had this years ago, and this was a big eye opener for me. And just going in, and there was a ballroom of people when they started this. I'm just going to play it a bit. And in this ballroom, they're just showing there's like about 100 people, and only 4 at the end qualified, and they all had the mortgage protection. So something as simple as like I believe as like having a blood pressure cuff ever checked by your doctor would have denied you. So what I understand is that you guys would have like a nurse or a medical professional do that examination before.
Yeah, absolutely. So we use two or three different paramedical companies, Dynacare and Exam One. And what usually happens is if a paramedical is required, that nurse or that medical professional will give you a quick call, and then you can schedule a time or meeting at whatever time suits you best. And they might ask you a couple of questions about your health. And so if there is something that needs to be addressed, it's addressed right at the beginning. So everyone's on the same page about what type of coverage is available and what the outcome will be as well. And usually for a lot of insurances under a specific amount and under a specific age, there's generally no medical that needs to be done at all. It's just a simple medical questionnaire. So sometimes people are afraid of, oh my gosh, I have this sort of problem. I might not be covered. Well, that's completely okay, because with World Financial Group, I guess you can say we work kind of like a brokerage model. So we have a lot of different product providers that will cover most types of conditions. We have one company called Canada Protection Plan, and they offer coverage for even people with severe critical illnesses and that kind of stuff. And we also have a company called Avari, and they also offer something called an Everest package. So just very simple critical conditions can be covered as well. And generally, you can get a minimum of $10,000 of protection with Avari and that Everest package, and also have a multitude of different resources available as well, such as Will Prep or Tenzing, which is an online cloud storage service that's military grade protection, where you can store all of your important documents as well, whether that's your will or the papers to your house or any other important things too. So we have a large selection of product providers. So it doesn't matter if you do, let's say, have some sort of critical illness or some sort of condition. A lot of our companies can be very flexible with that type of stuff. So if you think that, oh no, I might not be able to get coverage, well, we can still put an application in and see what kind of comes out of that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's great. That's good news for
Mm-hmm.
everyone to just kind of get all that information and be able to, once you put in that application, at least they know that they had options.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
And
So,
just keep in mind.
what do you think families should be doing right now? Like, COVID-19 hit and we're all at home, but we're all reflecting on, like I brought Gurpreet Randhawa from Sitka Law Group. She's a
Mhm.
wonderful lawyer here in town. And, what do you think families should be really doing at the moment?
I think right now it's a great time to just take a step back and see if we have that proper protection or that proper coverage. I mean, with World Financial Group, the cost to see an advisor is nothing. We offer our services free of cost. I mean, obviously, when you do choose to go forward with the plan, that's when you would talk with the company and that kind of stuff. But just to get a second opinion or to learn more about how you can be doing something better, it's completely free of cost to the client. And I know sometimes that can be a barrier to some people. Oh, I might have to pay this advisor an X amount of money just to get some advice. Well, all that pressure is completely relieved at this point. So if you do want to even take a second opinion at what plans you do currently have in place, we can sit down and see, okay, well, yes, actually, this does cover all your needs and liabilities. So everything looks good. Or if there's something we can do, maybe provide another service or change some things around to restructure what you do currently have, we can help with that as well. But the main purpose is to definitely take a look at what you have right now and just make sure to get a second opinion free of cost as well to see if you're in the right situation. Because like I was mentioning before, it's better to be prepared and have something in place than nothing at all or have inadequate type of protection.
Yeah, no, that's great. And that is very important. And that's why we've asked uh, Darshan Auntie to join us here today. And I met Auntie years back when I started real estate. She was actually one of my very first clients. I sold her condo in Victoria. So we've had a good relationship since. And I got to know her husband as well. And he was a wonderful man, amazing, always looking after me, when I'm going. And like he was always giving me good advice and always like, if you ever need anything, give me a call. Like he was just such a wonderful man, and like just very protective. Like if he cared about you, he really cared about you, right?
Right.
True, right, Auntie?
He
Yeah,
is like
yeah.
that.
He was like that. So I was fortunate enough to meet him, but from what I understand, Auntie, you want to share a little bit about your experience?
My experience with life insurance, I think every family should look after, just think about it, and they should get it. And it's the hard. it's a very hard time. The first of all the loved ones in your family is very close to you, and when you lose them, it's it's really bad. It's a hardest time of your life. The first of all, you go into emotional burden, and that's a really emotional moment that will take your responsibilities away from you, and your thinking of your positive thinking taking away from you, and most of all, the financial. Nobody around you, even your families and friends, the foundation, nobody wants to help you. And life insurance is the protection of your for you and your family. It's the best opportunity for you. I know
Mm-hmm.
it's really hard time when you're paying for the premiums, and don't even think about the whatever face amount you get it. That's what you're gonna get, but your money still grows in sitting there. You use it in a year or in 10 years, you'll get the benefit, big benefit out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing, it's a tax-free money. You don't need to pay any taxes on it. And the person who goes through all this hard time, they will know better. But I think every single family, young or at the middle age or old age, everybody need to think about it, and every family should have it. And all this hard time is come unexpectedly, and we're not prepared for it. We never think about it. We always think about the good time in our life, and the bad time does not knock on the door. It just comes and fall in front of you. So my opinion to I want to pass this opinion to every single family. They should think about it, and it's a lifetime opportunity for them.
And
Um,
from my, I just want to tell a bit about Auntie. So Auntie wasn't with World Financial Group, Darshan Grewal. She wasn't with World Financial Group as an employee in the past. What has happened now is that you have, she had an experience, but she had luckily bought a policy through another advisor. And honestly, as being there, her realtor and as a friend afterwards, I even was so shocked when I heard about her uncle, because he would have been the last person I would have ever imagined this happened to, right? It was a sudden death, and it was very instant and unfortunate, but uh, it was great that Auntie had this coverage to protect herself. Like, this was definitely not expected. And then now she's an advisor in Surrey, from what I believe, right, Auntie? You're
yes,
on the Lower Mainland,
right.
and she is helping families there because of her experience that she went through. She wants to, she's very passionate about ensuring that other families are protected in the same way.
Mhm.
So tell me a bit about your guys' disability insurance too, because I know there's a lot of people that, like, even if like, let's COVID could hit me, but or even anything else, right? Like, what kind of coverages do you have in regards to that?
That's a really great question, Des. So in regards to disability protection, we have a multitude of different things. Again, if you are, let's say, a professional, you probably want to have something called own occupation disability, which covers you in case you cannot do your own occupation. So through RBC, we have an amazing product that covers that for professional specifically. But if you're a person who has like a regular type of occupation, we have an amazing product that can cover you 24 hours around the clock. So it doesn't matter if you get injured or you have something happen to you during work time or even outside of work time hours, where you will still get that type of protection. Again, it all depends on kind of what your annual income is, and that's what the benefit amount is completely dependent on. But there's lots of amazing benefits we can add on as well, such as partial disability. So meaning if you're not fully disabled, but let's say you still have a back injury and you can kind of work part-time, you can still actually get some income coming in as well. There's another great thing where we can get up to at least $1,000 or $1,200, depending on the type of plan that you have, that you can still get as a top up. So even if you're still receiving some sort of benefit, you can get an additional $1,000 or $1,200 coming in. And I think that can really make a big difference. I mean, if you think about it, who is more likely to recover quicker? Somebody who has to think about how am I going to pay rent, or how am I going to pay my expenses, or someone who doesn't have that financial burden? Probably the person who doesn't have to think about the money aspect, and they can just really focus on getting better as well. So again, it's completely on a case-to-case basis, but some riders that we can add on, or some extra benefits that we can add on, is that partial disability as well. We can add extended care. So if you do need to go see a physiotherapist, or you do need some sort of hospital benefits or childcare related costs, we can add that type of stuff on as well. If you are a seasonal worker, we can also offer you some sort of protection too. If you, let's say, are concerned about accidental death or dismemberment, like maybe you work on a construction site and that is a really big, a thing that's going through your mind. Like, what if something happens to me, get my pinky chopped off or something? We can add additional benefits to that. So we'll pay you a lump sum extra amount. It's completely moldable and flexible according to a client's needs. So there's a multitude of different things that we can do to come up with a solution that fits best for each individual, because there's no such thing as a one solution fits all. Everyone's situation is different. So definitely, once we sit down with someone, once we get a little bit more information, we can make the plan that's best suitable for that individual.
Mm-hmm. I remember one of my friends once, she switched jobs. So she had a really good disability insurance plan at her previous employer. She switched and she got a really good package there, but it wasn't something that she really fully paid attention. Like, it wasn't the top of her mind. Okay, she sees a lot more light on the other side of the tunnel, but that might be the last thing on her bucket list, was to review her disability insurance that employer was giving. And unfortunately, something did happen and she was in a circumstances where she needed that. But versus if she had just bought out a packet, like, got a disability insurance from you guys, and wherever she goes in her life, that I'm assuming that insurance would just
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of times the benefits are payable for 2 years, 5 years, up until the age of 65. So again, disability is just as long as you're working. Obviously, when you stop working, then it won't offer coverage. But with World Financial Group, through our product providers, it will cover you whether, it doesn't matter. Like, again, like your friend, even if you switch jobs, you still have that protection, right? A lot of times if you are working, you're only covered as long as you're working with that company. And the moment you switch jobs or you get laid off, you don't have that coverage anymore. So even if you do, let's say, have your own plan through your company, it's always nice to maybe get a top up if they're not going to cover certain types of benefits. And it can be definitely worthwhile in the end. And we can also, if you're concerned about, okay, well, is this really going to be worthwhile for me? Well, we can also add on a rider or additional benefit where you can get at least 50% of your premiums back if that's not the case as well. So there's an option of getting, I guess, some money back guarantee as well in that situation.
Yeah, and I'm one of your clients too, and I'll let everyone know that I am here. I have been, and what I like about you guys is that you, even at times when I'm really busy and I'm just like, I don't want to talk about it right now, like, don't call me. But you guys are really thorough when you're like trying to reevaluate once a year, like sit down with the client and just be like, where is everything? And sometimes somebody like me who's busy and be like, this is the last thing I want to hear about right now. But that is so important, because if I had switched jobs or something, you guys always kind of evaluate it, right? And that's why I invited you on the show, because I definitely think this is something, just like how you have a financial planner, right? And you have a accountant or a lawyer. It's just good to sit down with that professional and go through your insurances as well annually.
I think you really bring up a great point of that annual kind of sit down with the client, because let's say we get some sort of plan today, maybe 10 years from now, our entire situation has changed. Maybe we've gotten married or we've had children or a different type of life events take place. And maybe that plan that we had at that point was suitable for that moment, but now our needs might have changed as well. So definitely it's important. And we really put a focus on that as well with World Financial Group, that it's important to have regular contact with your clients as well, just to make sure any of their needs that they have, that they're updated on a regular basis. Because let's say if you have maybe a new child that's born, they might need protection or might need an education plan or something, that those needs are taken care of as they come, and we're not delaying that as well. So thank you for bringing up that point.
No worries. And the other question I wanted to mention, something we talked before we got on this call, was about you were saying about some premiums that people that already had policies, because somebody may not be your client. I know you would have probably already got in touch with all your clients, but I mean, it might be beneficial for others to know. about
Yeah,
that?
absolutely. So I would say that if you are someone who might be thinking, but okay, I need to save some money and I want to see if I can maybe look into cutting costs in insurance, some companies have this awesome option available where you can actually take something called a premium holiday. So if you have a permanent type plan, so a permanent plan would either be a universal life plan or a whole life plan. If there's some sort of cash value in those types of plans, the premiums can actually just be picked up from there, and then you might not have to pay your premium for a couple months time. And so you can use that money that might have been going towards this plan for other immediate expenses that might come up in your life. And we do have that with our product providers through World Financial Group. But definitely, if you have any sort of plan with any other company out there, give a call to your financial advisor or give a call to your bank and see if that option is available. I mean, we have actually helped a couple of clients with that in these past couple of weeks, where they've kind of given us a call saying, "Hi, we just kind of we're looking at our expenses and we would kind of want to cut this expense." Well, instead of cutting that expense, they can still keep that coverage in force, which is so important, especially during this time. And have that money liquid and free for a little while, and they can resume the payments in the next couple of months as well as the situation changes. So definitely, it's called a premium holiday. It might be called something different depending on the company you're with, but definitely give your advisor a call and see if that's something like that can be arranged for you.
Well, that's great because there are right now, there's so many of us that have, your work is either on the back burner right now because we can't go to work. We have to stay at home. It's
Mm-hmm.
great for the ones that can work from home, but if you're not working from home and you've been told to stay home, like we have so many people in our city that are in the hospitality
Yeah,
industry,
yeah,
and that's never been hit hard like it is today. It's
absolutely.
probably, I don't think, we've had any kind of history like this where in Victoria we've had this big of an impact in the
Mm-hmm,
recent
mm-hmm.
decades. So to see that all come and slow down, it's quite devastating. And there's a lot of families that have leveraged themselves and have never thought that this would ever happen.
Mm-hmm.
So now when something like this does hit hard, it's nice to know that they can come to you for the right advice instead of just cutting things and not
Yeah,
having that
absolutely.
coverage.
There's always an option. There's always something that we can do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's nice to know that, we can work with whatever situation that you're in. And we understand it's a tough, difficult time for everyone. And we'll do the best job that we can to make sure you and your family are taken care of in the proper, adequate way. And so just as long as everyone knows that you have a friend in the industry who's willing to, go the extra mile to make sure you're getting that proper protection and to get that service that you need for your individual family. But yeah.
I'm going to invite you back on this and you too, Darshanti, because not today, we're not going to go into it, but you brought up something interesting, which I really want to have another chat about soon. I mean, there's so many different things but the one that hit me hard is like when you were going on about the different life insurance policies.
Yes.
I remember taking a financial class in my wee early 20s and about taxation
Mm-hmm.
and just how much, instead of everything going to my estate where it's going to be taxed, if I had just invested a lot of that into an insurance policy,
Mm-hmm.
I would be saving and it would just go straight to my beneficiaries.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, you could maybe elaborate more on that in our next chat, as well as I want to mention that you're also, both of you guys are, financial advisors as well. So if anyone has any investments and uh, we'll invite you back to discuss
Okay.
those in the near future. Right now, I'm very glad you guys joined me today, and we were able to talk about the immediate need of my followers as well as others in the community that need to know about what exactly they
Just
should be
passing the
doing with
message
their,
on people.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, we want everyone to stay home. You beautiful ladies, stay home, stay safe, and
But I
take
have
care of
to
your
work
families.
too.
You have to
I'm a
work too.
frontline worker.
Yes, yes, you are, Auntie. Yes, you are. Yeah.
This is
So
essential. Job's essential.
yes, you are.
Yeah.
You do that as well. Yeah.
Mm.
And you just take care of yourselves and
Yeah.
thank you for everything you do in the community
Mm-hmm.
My
and for
pleasure.
everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much
So,
for having us as
oh,
well. I mean, you're doing such an amazing
Mm.
job as well. I think really, use this opportunity to bring light to so many other businesses as well. And I think you're doing an awesome job too, because people can be scared during these times, and I think you're bringing them that light, you're bringing them that hope, and you're helping them connect with so many different types of people who they might not know can help them in some sort of way. So I think you're doing an amazing job as well. Thank you for organizing this wonderful podcast or a live stream event as well, and connecting a lot of different business owners together too. So props to you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
And
And
again,
it's a
it's just bringing us.
life-changing opportunity for people.
Yes, definitely. And again, this is just about bringing the community together and providing everybody the information they need. And I just want everyone to have a happy Easter and Good Friday. And I will be checking back. We have a lot more speakers coming on over the next few days, bringing a lot more tips to you guys. But stay safe out there. And thank you, ladies, for joining me today.
Thank you,
Thank
Des.
you. Pleasure.
Be safe as
And
well. It was nice
Yeah.
having you.
very happy
Okay.
Vaisakhi for both of you.
Oh, yeah. Same to you guys. Happy Visakhi. Have a good one. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.